Hey guys, welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV's Jessica Jones After Show. We've been away for, feels like 3 years waiting for season 2, but we're back, and let's just start at the beginning because a freak accident left Jessica the sole survivor, and that's exactly how I wanted to introduce this episode of the AFTERBUZZ TV Jessica Jones After Show.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I will never stop playing with the titles in my intros, guys.
Jesse is just shaking his head at you in slight disgust.
He should be.
Disappointed.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited to dig into these episodes. My favorite of the Netflix Marvel shows.
Yeah.
I'll say that right off the top.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
back.
I totally agree.
And these episodes have done nothing to change that opinion.
No.
We're covering, in case you don't know, we're covering episodes 1 through 3 tonight on Jessica Jones, the After Show. I keep introducing the show 100 times.
That's okay.
Uh,
It's
This
okay.
is what you're watching, guys.
Yeah. But we're going to dig into that
branding.
tonight. We're going to discuss everything that happened with the IGH and the medical records. Who is Dr. Leslie? I wrote down
Hansen.
It looks like Heron with my handwriting, but it's definitely Hansen. But we're going to try to figure out who that might be and everything else going on. If you're watching us live, no spoilers in the chat, please.
Yeah, no.
We've only seen episodes 1 through 3. A lot of people watching have only seen episodes 1 through 3, so please don't spoil anything if you've binged and watched ahead, because who has the time? You do.
That is a real. I mean, there are people that do have the time. I'm just not one of them, sadly.
Let's go around and introduce the rest of the panel. Up first,
Hello,
Emma Fyffe
I'm
is
Emma
back.
Fyffe. Glad to be here. I got my scarf. I got my leather jacket, which 100% I got after the first season of Jessica Jones. So here we are.
Amy Cassandra.
Hi. Yes, I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez. You can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ, and I'm very glad that we do have jackets on because it's quite cold.
It is
in
cold
here.
in this studio, to be
So it
fair.
worked out. It worked
And the only person in the studio without a scarf, it's Jesse Klein.
My neck lacks infinity. It has an ending where your necks don't.
Look, man, there's a whole kind of infinity coming soon, so
That's
we got
true.
a
That is
Rossi's
true.
infinity scarves,
Yeah.
even though there's
Dang.
no way it will acknowledge anything happening on this show.
No, it's true. I did love that in these episodes they had a Captain America action figure, and there
Yeah.
was just one throwaway line basically of the little boy asking Jessica, "Do you know Captain America?" And she like basically did not even respond.
Well, that and like the magnetic shield.
Yes!
Like,
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Yeah.
I love that little Easter
He's
egg.
got a new shield. This one's magnetic to his arm. That's a reference.
Also, Amy has dino damage. She has like.
I
little
know what is
cuts.
happening here.
It was hard to get here, so this is all, battle scars.
Got it,
You should
got
see
it.
the other girl.
Oh.
Some dude like with blonde hair and a hoodie just throwing you across the
Oh
place.
man,
Or maybe it was some lady in a trench coat.
Maybe.
you don't
Could've
know.
been
You
either
never
one.
know who's gonna have unexpected superpowers.
Let's actually dig into the episodes because there's a lot to talk about for sure. But first, I want to just get to what did you guys think of these 3 episodes kicking off season 2? Emma?
Oh, I was like, are we? I looked to Jesse and Amy.
I was just
and
waiting for somebody to jump
sat
in,
in
but
silence. No,
why don't we start here?
So my initial reaction is that so far I'm really really enjoying it. I think tonally it feels very similar to the first season of Jessica Jones in that. Even though obviously, in the first season that you did have this really great narrative of Kilgrave, and Kilgrave's one of the great Marvel villains in my opinion, at least particularly in terms of what we've seen portrayed on screen, be it in television or in cinema. And so far this season, it's kind of lacking that for me, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because so much of what makes Jessica Jones really compelling is this kind of character study of Jessica and of Trish and of Malcolm and Jerry and all these characters who we see returning for a second season.
And if you look back at season 1, Kilgrave doesn't actually show up until about I think episode 3.
Yeah.
So that falls right in line with not Dr. Hansen.
Sure. Yeah.
Amy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, well, I know that some people were critical about it because it isn't, like we're gonna fight everyone in the entire universe here, but I really do love that we get to really delve into these characters even more. So, and I love the pacing of this. I love it. So I'm game. I'm excited for the rest of the season, and it's hard to stop after episode 3.
Well, we'll get you out of here, and then you can
Good,
go home and
good.
keep binging.
Thank you. Thank you so
Jesse.
Yeah, more of the same. I really appreciate the respect for the audience it has, where like Jessica is still dealing with the fact that even though Kilgrave was a monster, she did kill someone, and like that is still something that she is dealing with. And I don't know if they're treating Defenders as canon or not, or like they're not acknowledging anything that happened with Defenders, because I'm pretty sure she like killed a bunch of zombie ninjas in Defenders as well. But I think if we're just not acknowledging Defenders, that's fine. I appreciate that we're dealing with the repercussions. Like real people would react this way if this had happened to them.
Yeah.
And it's inspired Trish, and it has made Jessica go down a deeper hole. Like we're seeing how each of these people deal with trauma, which I really respect the writers for doing. And I think it's a great way of showing how these characters have evolved that we've learned to love and watch in the last season.
Yeah. One of the standout lines from episode 1 that I wanted to especially bring up was when Jess says, "What if facing it makes it worse?"
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest. That's like a thesis statement right there.
I mean, that is
for
Jessica
that character.
Jones.
Yeah,
It is.
But it speaks. That spoke to me as like, especially like anytime that I've had to deal with like a depressing moment in my life or something intense happening. You want to make yourself busy or
sure.
avoid it or just fill the hole in your life with other things.
Absolutely.
Because that idea, what if sitting down and thinking about it is just going to make it worse?
Well,
it's going to make me feel worse than I already do.
It depends on what type of person you are, because like again, we see Malcolm has gotten his life together since what happened
Yeah,
to
with
Jessica
Kilgrave,
Jones.
yeah.
Like he has a job, he's working for Jess. It looks like he has some sort of mystery girlfriend that we're not seeing her face for
That's
whatever reason.
true. We have not seen her face.
We just know her tattoos.
I literally, her musical those tattoos, I literally wrote down, "Ooh, Malcolm."
Hogarth does what she always does, which buries herself in her work. And Trish has been inspired. Like Trish is the most heroic character in any of these Marvel shows, and she has just been inspired even more to be the hero that she wants to be.
And I think that is an interesting point to bring up, is the idea of Trish, because I saw a lot of people who were not thrilled with the way that she was treating Jessica. And this is the thing, is that is she overstepping? Oh, she's absolutely overstepping. However, that doesn't make her a bad person, because she's doing it for what she believes are the right. Trish truly believes that she is being altruistic. Is she making some real dumbass decisions? Yes.
Sure.
But the point is that she is this character who is very motivated, as you say, Jesse, to be heroic and to make a difference. That's what she wants to do with her radio show. She's like, I'm done talking about what restaurant you should go eat at, or how to get red wine stains out of your carpet. I want to make a difference now because she has been so tremendously affected by what she has gone through with Jessica.
And we see that while Jessica runs away from her trauma, Trish in these episodes actively searches her trauma out. We see with that director and that really intense scene, she went and found that trauma and unearthed it in order to get for those ends to justify those means.
She wants to put her trauma to use.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, this is a terrible thing that happened, but I'm not going to let it just be a terrible thing. It is now going to become part of the thing that makes the world a better place.
Absolutely, yeah.
And again, it's not saying that Trish is not pushing a little bit too hard, but there is this fine line of Trish not be. You can never 100% see somebody else's perspective, is basically what I'm saying. And so from Trish's perspective, if she was Jessica, this is, I think, what she would want to be done to her. She would want somebody to push her to get over it, and because she is a very good character, as you say, Jesse, she's the most heroic person we've seen in any Marvel Netflix series, really.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't push the limits, how is she going to get sent to hell and get her powers?
Right, exactly.
She needs to get her help out.
Please, Netflix, do it. I want to see it so bad.
Yeah.
I read like a bunch of the because they did a Hellcat series,
Yeah.
like
Yes,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
solo
was
series.
fantastic.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this character and is nothing like the character in the Netflix
Yes.
series. It is fantastic in its own right, where she's like a cute, like angry little Hellcat who's like best friends with She-Hulk and
Yeah.
trying to start a little entrepreneurial business where she
Yeah.
helps power people. Check it out; it's amazing.
I did love love and feel so uncomfortable in the scene where she was being Patsy at a birthday party.
I thought that her show was like canceled and she was just like that should do it. I thought it was
So
Ghostbusters
lost.
2 all of a sudden.
I thought
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, is Trish like having to resort to do this for money?
Money on the side. Yeah. Side hustle.
But no, it's just to get those medical records.
I love the fact that it seemed like the parents wanted her, or the dad wanted her more than for the kid.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
gay
oh,
dad
Steven
totally
in the movie.
wanted her.
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
They were so excited, and that's like a microcosm. I feel of just like parents at kids' birthday parties.
Oh,
like,
yes.
I didn't book this
100%.
entertainment for you, child. This is
Enjoy
for
it.
me.
Those kids
Yeah.
were perfect. They were just screaming at each other, not paying attention to Trish at all. It was perfect.
It was probably the most realistic child's birthday party I've ever seen portrayed on screen. Quite frankly.
It made me think of Ghostbusters 2. Who are you gonna call? He-Man. The kids don't give a damn. But okay, so how did you guys feel about Trish with Simpson and that whole plot? Because they perfectly played me. I was like, Simpson did it. Like. Nuke is gonna be our like first arc's big bad.
So to set
the
that
rug out
up,
from under that.
set that up, we're finding out that whoever's investigating this laboratory and these people, whoever seems to be close to it, is dying in a very gruesome way.
Yeah.
And we get a weird Marvel reference with the Wizard, who is one of.
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah.
Who's one
Thank
of
you
the-
for taking us back because we skipped over a whole bunch of stuff.
Who's one of the original invaders in Marvel comic books, and the reason why he has super speed is because he has mongoose blood in his body. That's how he got his super speed. So like all of these references that are just for me, and but we find out that like whoever's investigating these labs are dying in awful ways. He's very paranoid. No one's taking him seriously, and then we're seeing that Simpson is following Trish around, and we assume that he is the person who is killing people because that's what we know. He's back on the inhaler. He's doing drugs. I was kind of bummed out that it was Simpson. I was kind of done with him, and I wanted a new story. Like it was, but at the end, I was glad to get closure with him, even though it was neck snapping closure. But I thought it was nice to see him again, I guess.
Yeah, I think that it was one of those things where we've been so trained by not only Marvel but all of these sort of sci-fi, superhero-y, Star Wars-y properties that somehow everything is connected and everything's going to come back in the end. And I feel like with Simpson, they kind of pulled a bait and switch.
Sure.
Where you thought they were setting him up to be this big villain potentially this season, and then they're like, nope.
Well, what were your thoughts on that? Because I mean, I was kind of done with him as well. And then I was like, okay, so he's back, and then you just kill him. So what, like, I don't really see the point of bringing him back, then killing him, just if we were already kind of done.
I'm guessing they were doing it to build tension with that first part of the story, and also to kind of close any of that loop. Like, don't worry about Simpson for
not
the rest of
coming
He's
back.
not
Yeah.
coming back. He got his neck put 3 inches to the wrong side.
It's
Like,
also a great way to raise the stakes because we know how powerful he can be.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
like this is a guy that we feared last season, and now our new big bad just comes in and
Higher, yeah.
cracks him in half, much the same way that Jess did to Kilgrave, but looking way more gruesome.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't like, oh, okay, I did it just far enough to do the deed. That was like his neck would look like it had been like a Stretch Armstrong that was played with a little too much.
It looked like when you break chopsticks the wrong way.
Yes.
And it's just like
and they're a little
really
uneven. And yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was the most gruesome way you could have described it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Ew.
I'm right there with you though, Jesse.
But yeah, the chat agrees. The wizard reference was great.
It was really.
And his running, like the way he runs, was so. I burst out laughing.
silly.
It was so good, but it was so perfect too.
Yeah.
It was just like this guy just.
There was like some sound design which gave him like.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was a great like moment of like comic relief and like a really heavy thing, and then it made it even more gruesome when all of a sudden that comedic relief gets smashed on the head.
Yeah.
Well, and it was so funny too because when you're first introduced to him, he comes in and he's talking about how, oh, I have powers and nobody believes me, and she's like, great, run. He's like, my powers are fear-based. It only happens when I'm scared. And then he turns out to be absolutely right.
Yeah. He's scared almost all the time.
Yeah.
Did you catch in that montage when people were asking for help? One of the people was saying like there are lizard people
Yes!
in government. Do you think that's a Skrull reference? Like they're talking.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of
it's a
them as
Skrulls reference.
lizard people.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
it might be.
Yeah. I think they're talking about Skrulls.
Do you think that was the first drop towards we're getting?
I think it was just
Secret Invasion.
Let's
Yeah.
put it in here for fun.
Yeah, no, Netflix is not going to be the one to drop something like that.
It'd be great.
But they do put in those little like subtle references. I mean, we talked about the cap thing, and
Yeah.
it's like they every once in a while they acknowledge this is in the same universe, but we're never gonna cross the streams.
It would be great if Netflix was the one to do the Secret Invasion, but it was throughout all of their properties. It's like Fuller House. It turns out
Right.
that DJ has been a Skrull this entire time, and like,
Matt Murdock runs into the multicam
Exactly.
setup on Fuller House and just punches Jesse in the face.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Black Jones in the chat said, I thought Skrulls at that scene, but lizard people is a common conspiracy theory, and it might just be poking fun at it. But I think that it was also a very intentional. I agree, but I think that's why it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was for both.
It works on
levels,
both layers.
Yeah.
I liked seeing that Jess has gone back to being a PI at the beginning
I
of this
totally agree.
episode, and like seeing that she and Malcolm kind of had this really, the relationship, the dynamic in their relationship has changed since season 1, and I really like seeing that Malcolm is now the one taking care of her and like making sure that she's like getting up on time. He's knocking and saying, "Are you alone?" Just to check, like, all of that.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was cool seeing that, and I like that these first 3 episodes kind of set our base reality really well. Like I'm ready for it to get screwed up now, but like these first 3 episodes were really good at being like, okay, here's the dynamic. We've got like the other PI that Jess is gonna have to like
Price Chang.
Oh, Price Chang.
who I don't have I don't recognize him from any comic books or anything like that.
No, I don't
Like,
think I
If
didn't
Jesse
think so.
doesn't recognize him from comics, then he doesn't exist.
Like I think he's an original kind of guy.
I keep
Yeah.
every time there's a new character introduced and they like make sure to give us his full name. I always like is that like an obscure one-off character I've never heard of? Like I definitely Googled what's his name?
The therapist?
No,
Therapist.
of Oscar Rocho, her new superintendent. I was like,
superintendent,
who are you? And he's not the one. He's no one.
Yeah, but he's also like an interesting, like again, we're talking about like respect for the intelligence of the audience. Like if superpowered people are kind of now known in the Netflix Marvel universe, there would be people who would not want them to be in their building.
Yeah.
And like seeing a very reasonable, a guy who loves his kid,
Yeah.
but still is being prejudiced against Jessica Jones for, I think it seems like reasonable reasons. Like people die around her.
Sure, totally.
Yeah.
People super speed keep running up and down the hallways and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point because he points out like you're not a protected class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like powered people, and that's it's really interesting that he puts it into place like that. Like I don't have to respect you. I am allowed to be he basically is saying
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be prejudiced to you.
Sure.
It's interesting because since the Sokovia Accords, I feel like superpowered people should be some sort of protected class or a registered class at least.
But I think the Sokovia Accords probably were in that level of detail designed more to protect other people from them. They probably didn't waste a lot of time on protecting the people with powers against everyone else.
I totally agree. Well, but I liked too that they gave him another layer of, it's not just that he's leery of somebody with superpowers. There's the other level of he is a former convict.
Yeah.
So there, you know, he and that a lot of his reasoning for being leery about her is not only is people die when you're around, but also you kind of naturally attract that kind of danger, naturally attract the police.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another, and he winds up back in jail. And I like that they are very clear that he really truly loves this kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, you know, you see that kid idolizes her.
Oh my God, that scene was really cute.
When she goes in.
And it's like, if you're that dad and you know that, like, this person's dangerous, you don't want your kid to be around them, even though
you don't want the kid emulating them or, like, trying to, like, hang out with them. I love it. He goes, can she read me a bedtime story?
Oh my God. So pure.
Come on,
Oh, kid, the world has not crushed you yet. But let's dig into Jess's story through all of this, because like one of the things that I made sure to make note of was the whole plot line about her parents' ashes, her whole family's ashes, for that matter. And like, I have so many questions about the fact that they were boxed up and in storage all these years. You would think that Trisha's mom would have like dealt with them. But
or maybe not. Trisha's mom is such a interesting piece of work.
I love that her ringtone is the Patsy song, and then she tells someone to stop living in the past. Like, it was such a great line for that character who is obviously stuck in the past. It was really good.
But yeah, I mean, to the ashes point, I was very uncomfortable when Trish brought those in. Yeah. I mean, I think you were meant to be.
Yeah.
But I think it was also just sort of symbolic of the fact that Jessica has just sort of boxed away that little part of her life for obvious reasons. It was very traumatic. Her entire family died in a car crash. She was the only one that lived. And so, again, there was sort of this symbolism of, well, I just packed up this part of me and put it away. And so there was sort of this metaphor of, okay, well, now here it is and it's out in the open and I have to deal with it. And I mean, literally gets ripped open and rains all over me.
I think this is getting into predictions, but I don't know if she's the only one who survived the car crash.
Oh.
Like I thought the box getting broken open was kind of symbolic.
Oh, interesting.
Like maybe these ashes don't mean what you think they mean.
That's some deep level conspiracy.
Because she only knows that her family died because she has those 4 days where she was lost. Like, what if the lab kept her brother or kept her dad or kept her mom and continued to do experiments on them?
Right, it's the 20 days where she doesn't remember.
That's a fascinating theory.
Jesse.
I'm tempted to... My instinct tells me no. Only because the key element that they've set up for IGH in terms of who they take is single piece, like individuals who have no other connections in the world.
Sure.
So it's possible, but I think that the fact they keep harping on that factoid.
Well, if it's the brother, and they keep one,
2 orphans,
and they let the other go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why would they let her go then?
So what? So you think he's coming in as a like another powered individual?
Yeah, I think it's possible. At first, when we went to the doctor's funeral and it was the guy with no legs who attacked her, I was like, maybe that's her brother, and they just don't know it yet.
Oh man, my head is like all the wheels are turning.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry, chat. That was for predictions. We were talking about the ashes.
Please, thank you. But so as the investigation goes, like I like the amount of false leads that we're getting. Like we were talking about with Simpson, they did a lot of like basically patching up all the things that we thought we knew about IGH and the conspiracy. Kozlov, dead. Simpson, dead. Now we've gotten, by episode 3, and we're just talking about all the episodes together, guys.
It's
but
fine.
by episode 3, we have this drop that, like, IGH at least considers themselves the good guys. Like, they didn't do this maliciously. They did this as an experimental way to save lives. This is a sort of a precursor to the Tahiti experiment, if you're a SHIELD fan. But so that's like they were doing this thinking that they're good. So now we have to. They're making us question everything that we thought we knew about the world of Jessica Jones.
You think you have it figured out, and they say, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much Marvel.
So do you guys think that it is that IGH is ultimately good? How are you guys feeling about that whole system at this point?
I mean, I feel like they're not good or bad. I think that they just are. I think that the world is complicated, and that is and that the world is complicated and morality is complicated, and that is something that ultimately is being explored in this season of Jessica Jones. I think more so than having a real sort of conflict between a very bad person and sort of good guys, if you will. It's more like this is just about people, and this is an organization that, even if it is kind of, as you say, bad, and they tend to target people that are orphans and have no other connections, they are also saving their lives.
Yeah.
So,
Well, scientific research is very weird in a moral standpoint.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people today who are benefiting from the torture and death of animals and the torture and death of people. Dr. Mengele in World War II.
Yeah.
What we know about modern day anesthesiology comes from his studies.
And it's hard to deny the research when you know, but
how much it's benefited
the
people.
history is not good.
Yeah. And so, like, in this case, like, it also ties into what's going on right now. At the end of 2017, we started using CRISPR, which is, for people who don't know, it's genetic alteration. You basically put a virus in someone that can go into your DNA and then alter it. So we've started using CRISPR on humans, and we've solved or fixed genetic defects in people using CRISPR.
I thought, have we actually edited human DNA using CRISPR?
Yes. At the end of 2017, there were 2 people with 2 separate genetic diseases. They used CRISPR, and they didn't cure the disease, but they made it so the body could fight the disease more effectively.
What Gattaca future are we living
I
in?
mean, we are getting to Gattaca future. So, like, this is...
But that's what Not Hansen
is saying, that
talks about.
They're going in and they're editing DNA and, I guess, making people strong enough to fight off life-threatening attacks or injuries. And part of the result of that is you also can jump up buildings very quickly.
Well, I guess it's the idea of the latent powers in all of us is sort of the concept that they're playing with.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, like, if we meet other people, what other powers are being created by this? Is it just enhanced reflexes, like enhanced recovery? Because Jessica's power set is very base level. Like, there's nothing like, but we have Whizzer over here who is running very fast. But I guess which is also a form of just enhanced
But
normal things.
Kilgrave as well.
Yeah.
And Luke
Kilgrave is
Cage.
the one that's like very like, this isn't just like I'm stronger than I should be, I'm faster than I should
It's
be.
magic.
It's like it's magic powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke Cage as well. Yeah.
Luke Cage, but he wasn't an IGH experiment.
I mean, I think it's hinted at that he was part of that program.
Like that was like an offshoot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because they mentioned him. I'd have to go back and rewatch Luke Cage.
I know. Yeah.
But they definitely. But like, so it's very possible that at least the research.
Yeah, well, and in terms of Luke Cage too, there is the whole thing with Jessica killing his wife under
Yeah.
Kilgrave's influence, which might all be connected to all of this
right,
as well. So
Yeah, the chat's helping us out because like neither Kilgrave nor Luke Cage are from
no,
This
IGH,
lab,
but
but-
that's the whole thing. Is like were Kilgrave's parents connected to IGH's research, whether they influenced IGH or IGH influenced them, and same thing for Luke Cage.
I think there have been parts where they insinuate that it's all connected in some sort of way.
Yeah.
No.
It's all connected
Hey, man,
until it's not. That's the
until it's not,
MCU
yeah.
tagline. I think that's the full one now.
Yeah, welcome back
Feige
to-
updated it.
Welcome back to Fuller House Scroll Edition.
I mean, we did get some great "it's all connected" moments.
Yeah.
We got Foggy in episode 3.
oh, I know.
That was a great, just little fun drop.
I know.
He was
Him
fun.
coming in being like, listen, Hogarth, how are we going to fix this?
Yeah.
And I was like, you
Good
know
for
she's
you.
real bad, right?
Her name's on the building, Foggy. You're not
yeah.
gonna help her.
Yeah, no.
He's just trying to. Foggy's a good guy.
I know.
Trying
Always
to be a
root for
good guy.
Foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just don't want to see him get chewed out by Hogarth. But speaking of it's all connected, I want to take a moment to talk to you guys a little bit about one of the reasons that we're able to do all of these podcasts, and the reason that any of this exists is Maria Menounos. And she is a phenomenal leader. And so I wanted to take a quick moment in the middle of the show to just tell you guys about Maria's podcast that you can check out. Do you want to have fun and learn and grow in all areas of your life? I find their words are better than mine,
No,
so I'm going to
perfect.
give it up to them. For those who do, we have a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos, the podcast edition, is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder, Maria Menounos. It comes out every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of your life, from health and wellness to career and relationships, finances. They got everything. Let Maria be the big sister that you never had. And she is. Like, I having worked directly with Maria, she is one of the kindest, most empowering people that you've ever met. And so if you can get anything from... If you can learn anything from her, I think it will only be to your benefit. So check out Conversations with Maria Menounos, coming out every Friday. Doing so helps us stay on the air because AfterBuzz and Maria are one and the same.
Yes.
So please check out Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition.
Can I jump in here? I just want to say something to you guys too, especially because it affects Jessica Jones, especially. Our feeds, people may have noticed that our podcast feeds were combined for the last 4 months with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D's feed, so all of the Marvel shows were showing up under Marvel TV Weekly. We just launched a new website, and because it affects Marvel shows, I want to tell you guys that we have re-separated the feeds. So Jessica Jones, you'll find on its own feed, and if you're looking for all the other Netflix Marvel shows, as well as the ones that were covered during that 4-month period, they now have their own podcast feed on iTunes. So if you need to find it, you can go ahead and search for those and find them, and subscribe to the Jessica Jones feed and leave an iTunes rating and review.
Please be sure to
Yeah.
read us your reviews. Tell us about how many Infinity Scarves you're wearing.
Or what Netflix show you want to see have Super Skrulls in it. Like, which one you want them to invade.
Yeah, that could be a long list. Yes.
All of them.
All of them have
Stranger
Skrulls.
Things has scrolls.
Yeah.
Will is definitely a scroll on that show.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to talking about Jessica Jones. What do you guys? So we talked a little bit about Price Chang, but what are you guys thinking about the whole Price Chang, Jerry Hogarth, try to like sort of attempt to take over Alias investigations, get Jess back on Hogarth's side?
I will say that I really appreciated that when Hogarth showed up to confront Jessica herself, because basically, you know, Price Chang's a moron, and he just shows up and he's like, Jessica, come work for me. And of course, Jerry put him up to all of it. But then when, you know, all of that comes out and he's like, I'm gonna sue her, and she's like, oh, okay, well, we might have a case here. And then, you know, she shows up to Jessica's apartment, she's got the paperwork all ready to go, and then she rips it up. Like, I appreciated that they just kind of both agreed that Price Chang was real dumb.
Well, he didn't have he blocked her access
Right.
to a door.
Right.
Like, she has the right to leave a room. If someone tries to keep you from, everyone out there, if someone tries to block you from leaving a place, you can throw them on the ground. Like, there's legal precedent. You can do that. And then he tased her.
He tried to tase her, so she fought back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing she did was slap him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, I feel And like, I guess she's a super powered person, so there probably would be like some sort of argument that it wasn't a fair fight and that she was technically armed because she is
just
a weapon.
always is.
Yeah, she was a weapon herself. But like, it wasn't a good case. Like, Price wouldn't win that case probably. So it was nice to see that both of them were like, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
And smug. She hates smug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where they were going with him at first, but again, and I was like, oh, maybe he's going to play some sort of interesting role in this, but I think mostly he's just going to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
But a joke. But I could see him being a wrench
Yeah.
down the line.
Yeah.
Like, he'll pop up at the worst possible moment to just mess everything up. Like, he'll show up with the cops because Jess is on probation, and that will not, like, that's the other thing. It's like that like potential assault charge comes to someone who is on probation. Well, no, wait, hold on, I got that backwards.
No, yeah,
she's
'cause
on probation because of
Because
that.
of it. Yeah, she went to jail because of it.
Yeah,
and then
I heard
Trish-
it as I was saying. I was like, wait a minute.
But she also had a severed head in her purse while on probation.
That's true.
You know.
Yeah, severed and burned.
Yeah, severed and burned head.
I loved that trick though to get it in there.
Yeah.
Like that. One of the things I loved about these episodes, they really nail the investigative like angle on everything that they're doing. Like, this is a detective show.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things, and it was present in the last season of Jessica Jones too, is just seeing her process of how she puts everything together.
Yeah.
And how just the way her brain works is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Well, and we get to see even more Trish and Jessica working together. So they have to be in sync, and if one of them obviously isn't, then the whole thing is screwed up,
Yeah.
which I really enjoy.
Yeah, there was that entire. I'm glad that the episode 2 thing was neither of them are talking to each other, and they're suffering for it.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately they were like, "Hey, we should talk to each other," and it immediately got solved. Like how normal humans would do that. Like if it was any other TV show, it would be 6 episodes of both of them not talking to each other and not communicating, and it would be like, and we'd be yelling at the screen like, just say the thing you're doing because you're both working basically together but apart. And instead we just got like one episode, we saw the consequences of it, and it got solved immediately, which was really nice to see.
Yeah, a lot of times those kinds of like fights among friends can be drawn out for like 4 episodes, and you're just like, oh my god, your best friends talk to each other.
Yeah.
Jesus,
And-
answer your phone.
And overall, I think that's one of the things is I like the friendship between Jess and Trish, because even though they're constantly sort of at odds with one another, as you say, Jesse, they're ultimately working on the same thing,
Yeah.
and Amy as well. And when they communicate the fact that they're working on the same thing, things work out better. Though I did think it was really funny that Jess blocked Trish from going to see Not Leslie Hansen by calling TMZ.
That
That was amazing.
And I was like, is that how easy it is? Do you just like text TMZ a pic and you're like, hot tip?
They bought that like immediately too. I like, do they know who? I mean, I guess they might. Like, they might if she emailed them like from Jessica at aliasinvestigations.com.
Yeah.
They might be like, oh, we know that they're friends or sisters.
So also we've got
Jess is also a celebrity in her own right. Sorry, Jess.
because we touched on it because Hogarth's got her story. I like that she has got a C story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
I
she's
love it.
getting a full story, and like she's dealing with the fact that she's built this persona and all this money and all of this power, and she's facing her own mortality. And I like that her first reaction was just hookers and cocaine. Like that was her first thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna die. All right.
It feels like a perfect, like, it just like it was in season 1. Hogarth, which is a character that they gender bent for TV,
Yeah.
is still fulfilling all the beats that a male character would have in that.
totally.
Like, a male character finds out they're dying, goes on a hooker bend
Yeah.
with a bunch of drugs.
Hooker bender.
That's what's happening
Right,
here.
a hooker bender with a bunch of drugs, as opposed to a drug bender with
A bunch of
hookers.
hookers.
Yeah.
You have to know the difference.
Yes.
It's a fine line, subtle differences, but it was a hooker bender.
Mathematicians have played the percentages, and that's how you can qualify it.
But like, see this. I can immediately see this character doing that. Like that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I also really liked at the end of that party when they spilled the wine. That was the exact same way her wife's head was spilt open. And I was like, oh, that's why she's all of a sudden like, get out of here, and like very dark. And I thought that entire scene was really interesting because it was a lot of like what we're seeing, where she was just trying to ignore everything, and then she at the end decides like, no, I'm gonna fight this. And we see her partners are also very aggressive. Like one's kind of nice, and the other just does not like her. Yeah.
Yeah, to give Hogarth the like she has ALS. I was like ACL. That's a different thing.
Totally different.
ALS.
Yeah.
Giving her 2 to 8 years
Yeah.
is what is the spectrum that she says that she's on, and she like that's so to her. I think that's just so short a time. It's like, what is she even going to leave behind? Especially if her firm kicks her off the door. Like her name just goes away.
But
she doesn't have kids. She doesn't have a family.
I think it's also kind of, it's enough time that, like she said, she could not show symptoms for 8 years. So it's enough time that if she took the buyout, she could not show symptoms for 8 years and be like, I could still be a lawyer right now for 8 years.
Yeah.
And like that's a torturous thing to do to someone like Hogarth, who would feel like I'm just now I might as well be dead now,
Right.
and not wait these 8 years to show any symptoms.
Yeah. I mean, that's I actually think that she has a good, even with the clause in her contract, like she has a solid case to stay at least until she becomes symptomatic.
Yeah.
Because ALS is not a mental degenerative disease. It's all muscle and nerve.
Yes.
So her and being a lawyer is all mental. She doesn't need to move to do her job. So I don't think there's any justification for that particular disease taking her out of the way until it's a thing where she can't go to court because she's in the hospital or something like that.
But that's why it's so messed up what they're doing to her, is because it's not because she has it, it's they're using it as an excuse because she didn't tell them she has it.
Yeah.
So regardless of her having it, it's because she kept it a secret for like a day that they're using to throw her out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Nothing.
but
Which-
like they're lawyers, they know that like a day is not like a reasonable amount of,
Of
like.
course.
Which is their lawyers, so they're finding any loophole they can
100%.
to kick her out.
Right. And it ultimately, as you say, just basically boils down to one of them straight up does not like her. They
Yeah.
want her out. And I mean, they also know about all the terrible things she did in the previous season of Jessica Jones.
true.
Yeah, let's not
So-
forget Hogarth did some bad shit.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. This is a complicated character.
This is the same character who like helped Kilgrave, like of her own volition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not because she was under his influence. She was at some points, but she made choices to help him.
Oh, yeah.
Despite him being an evil son of a bitch.
Yep.
To sum it up.
To put it lightly.
Do you guys think that Trish is like going off the rails in her like want to be vigilante mode? Like she is well prepared. She is like she's trained at least in like martial arts and
Sure.
like she's carrying a gun, but is she being reckless?
I do think that she's being reckless, but I think that there's like the thing about Trish is she has as many issues as Jessica does in many ways, in that, you know, she's somebody who's so desperate to not just be this washed up. It's so interesting because I think that in some ways, obviously Trisha's life is not ideal, but I think that Jessica would almost rather have had Trisha's life experiences.
Sure.
And Trish looks at Jess and goes, I want that.
Yeah.
Not literally, but just from as a concept.
Yeah.
So I think that yes, she is being a little reckless, but I understand why she is.
Yeah. Amy, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, I don't think she is. I think it's showing you how much she wants, what she wants. Like she's not gonna just sit around and stay in the past, and I really respect her for that. She's doing things that most people maybe wouldn't do, but I think that speaks to her character, And yeah, I mean, I support her fully. I love Trish a lot.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I don't see her as being terribly reckless. Like, the only reason why she was confronted by Simpson is because he was following her. That was just her chasing a lead, basically, with the director that she used to work with, which is an emotionally dangerous scenario.
Yeah.
But no one thought it was going to be a physically dangerous scenario, which is what it ended up being. She's mostly just been doing investigative work, and like she brings up with her boyfriend, like he's been to like war zones and stuff like that. When you're an investigative journalist, which is what Trish is trying to be, you do put yourself in those areas. Trish has so far been pretty good about like covering up what she's doing, making sure that people know where she's going to be. There was just the one instance with the director, and I think you can kind of chalk that up to the fact that she had to deal with all of those emotions, and that's why she wasn't answering her phone.
Yeah.
But even then, she had Malcolm with her. Like she had brought someone with her to make sure that she wasn't there alone. And then what she's been doing with Jess, like she's been with Jessica the entire time. It's not like she's gone off the rails or anything like that. She is just investigating this lead as far as it goes.
Yeah. I think Trish's storyline, especially with the director, is just it's another great example of this show tackling a lot of the issues that are in the real world.
Yeah.
And this show, what's impressive about that is this show was shot before the Me Too movement like even began. But this is such a loud, perfect example of it that it's right there in front of us.
Yeah.
But even though it just like timed out really well with the statement that they're making.
Yeah.
I mean, Trish was raped by this director.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
to see her confront him like that and try to put that, as we were saying before, to use, I think was a great moment
Yeah,
for that
I totally
character,
agree.
and a revelation about like how bad. Like we knew she dealt with an abusive mother, but we didn't realize that it went to this extent.
Yeah.
And we see that like the mother is apologetic for that director as well. So it's
Yeah.
like we see the kind of support that Trish was given after any of this trauma.
There's literally the opposite of support.
Yes. Yeah. The lack of support.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, what you did, what that terrible thing that happened to you was good. You shouldn't be.
You got your show from it.
Yeah. Yeah, the world is a terrible, terrible place sometimes. But I like that Malcolm punched him in the face
Yep.
Yeah, that was
as
great.
well. Trish is ready to emotionally, or like, I don't know what you'd call it, like in the news, punch him in the face.
Yeah, she's ready to
punch his career in the
she's
face.
ready to punch his career in the face, ruin his reputation,
Ruin his life.
Yeah.
Well, he ruined his own life.
That's
but
true.
She's facilitating it.
Yes.
But I liked seeing Malcolm defend her.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, if Trish punched him, it would have hurt more.
Yeah.
Because Trish is like a Krav Maga
That's
expert.
true.
Like,
But Malcolm surprised him.
yeah, that's true.
Not that I think he would have been surprised by Trish also.
I love the moment where her boyfriend sneaks up on her and she punches him in the gut.
Oh, poor
and pulls
Griffin.
a gun on him.
Oh,
And
Griffin.
because it's like all these people are so worried about her, but she's like ready to go.
That is true.
like it's like she almost killed her boyfriend.
Yeah,
Like,
they should be the ones that are worried if they
Yeah.
sneak on her.
Yeah, she's just like, and I've definitely done that thing where you just
Yeah.
like, you're working so hard, the lights start to dim because the sun's setting, and you're just
Yeah.
like, whatever, don't care, have stuff to do. I'll turn the light on in 30 minutes.
Oh, I related to that so hard. That
Sure.
happens to me on a regular basis.
yeah.
I do feel like Trish should stop wearing headphones even when she's home.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Leave one out.
Yeah.
Leave one
Or
out.
just you think you're alone in the apartment, you can use the speakers.
Yeah, that's
and,
true.
and give Griffin a little bell.
Yeah.
Like a cat.
Yeah. Just,
Make him carry some keys.
yeah, something like that.
What do you guys think of Griffin? I was all on board with him, and then he started copying those files over to a flash drive.
I don't know. I liked him in the moment where we first met him because we meet him under the circumstances of he and Trish show up to bail Jessica out after she's had her little run-in with Mr. Chang.
Yeah.
And then I started to kind of not trust him at breakfast.
When he was so nice too.
When her mom shows up at their like
Yeah.
brunch. I don't know.
My thought there was just that Trish hadn't told him everything.
Yeah.
And that he had only gotten the basics of it.
Sure.
So he was still like, oh no, you should totally like love your mom because like moms are great. And then it's like, oh, but your mom, I didn't know your mom was terrible.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth with him because I had a moment where I thought, I really hope that he turns out to not be a villain. And it was in the moment where Trish was telling Jessica that she loved him.
Yeah.
And that was when I went, oh, I hope that this is real. And then, yeah, in the end, he started copying those files off her computer. So now I'm back in the camp of I don't really trust him.
He's either going to turn out, I feel like right now, like he seems like such a great boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's either
a GBF. Great boyfriend.
Yeah. I was like, he's either a great boyfriend and he's going to die. Or he's some kind of spy and he's gonna be a bigger villain.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he has now worked his way up to there is no third option.
Yeah,
Sorry, Griffin.
I like the scene where they were talking about him where Jeff was like, of course I looked into him. I'm like, oh, there's some weird stuff, but nothing you need to worry about.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good. And also when Jess was looking for Trish and like they were in the apartment and he was like, I know something's wrong. And she's like, why, your scrot sense is tingling? And I was like, a real awful way to introduce Spider-Man into the Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, with great power comes great mental illness.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, even Spider-Man hasn't said that yet, guys.
Yeah.
And that's like the second drop in a Netflix show of a great power line. I can't remember the other one was, but I know we did it
I'm sure it was in there
on
somewhere.
some show.
Maybe Luke Cage.
So, any other thoughts that you guys have on these three episodes?
I mean, not Leslie Hansen.
Yeah.
That's what I'm left with.
Yeah. What do you get? Well, I guess let's talk about her for a second. Obviously powered.
Yeah.
Obviously not Dr. Leslie Hansen.
No, Dr. Hansen is dead. She has a severed head in her own basement.
Ugh. But so who is this person? And I'm going to say let's leave the rumors from preseason off in case people are being wary of spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what she thought she was going to meet with Trish. I don't know if she was planning on telling her the truth or if she was planning on killing her.
Yeah.
Or like some sort of assassin. Because I'm like, what does she get out of just telling Trish the truth?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Jesse.
Like I don't know where they're going with it, so I have no idea what she is. Like,
because she's not the meat monster as they keep
No,
meat face
yeah.
monster. That's theoretically got to be somebody else. But that couldn't be a brother,
some sort
like
of
the brother
pepperoni
is
Yeah.
man.
big, and like I don't even know what I have no comic based thoughts. I keep wanting someone to be Moon Knight, but it's not gonna happen. But I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see, guys.
I think it's kind of one of those things where she might just be a really early successful IGH experiment that kind of went all in on Team IG, or she was like the prototype,
Yeah.
like she was an IGH employee and they experimented on her to see can we do this?
I could see that.
So I
And
don't know.
I'm still thinking about the guy who was in the wheelchair at that funeral.
Yeah.
It feels like there are people who are very loyal to IGH and believe in it, and maybe she is connected to that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if some people because they say powers don't happen in everybody, so I think it's probably some of the people the guy in the wheelchair they just get better.
Yeah.
They move on. His he lost his legs, but he's seemed perfectly healthy otherwise.
Sure.
So he's just ready to go. But then you have people like Jess, not Hansen, and the Wizard, who are left in a questionably worse off state.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up, guys, any standout moments or little things we didn't get to that you guys really loved? I'll start. There's
Okay.
just really, this is super specific, but there was just one shot that like I was just like, that is a random beautiful shot, and it was this close up of Jess's eye when she's lying in bed, and there's this rainbow lens flare across it, and just it I don't know why it stood out to me so much, but it was just like this show is shot really well. As a great team of directors and DPs, and it always looks great. All female
all
directors.
women directors
Yeah.
and all women lead writers as well on every episode.
I didn't know about the writer stuff too.
Yep.
That's and this is the show that like
it's almost
can
like
be the shining example
women can tell stories about women.
I don't
What? That's
understand. Next, you're gonna tell me women can tell stories about men.
Oh man. But yeah, that shot just for some reason
Yeah.
stood out to me. It just was like, oh, we're staring into her soul with this rainbow lens flare.
Sure.
What do you got? Anything for you guys?
I really liked when Jessica made her sort of murder wall. It's not really a murder wall because she's trying to put together the pieces to figure out how IGH is involved in all of these various cases, and she's like posting the death certificates and the photos, and it was I like it when we get full on crime show in this.
Nice. Amy?
Well, kind of touching what you said, I do love the color correction of it as well, and the way that the music was used perfectly, that it just feels so noir-y.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of space, and I just love how different it is from, obviously Daredevil and all the other ones. That Jessica Jones really carves into that space that we all really love.
Yeah, it's what Defenders was like. One of the strongest things about Defenders was how well it showed each character in their world, and like the color and the way they used each like part of the city differently, and and that carried from Jessica Jones season 1 into her parts of Defenders, and perfectly carried through into this season.
Yeah.
So far.
I like all the detectiving. Like I'm just enjoying that like we got to the end of episode 3 because they were following leads and like discovering stuff. Just real satisfying to like see a story put together like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that. Anytime we're doing just boring like them taking pictures of people or just like looking at papers and like being like, oh, this paper is matching with this paper. Like those are my favorite moments.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for the Jessica Jones After Show, covering episodes 1 through 3. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know which camera I'm talking to. But thank you, guys. If you had any other thoughts in the episode, if there were any moments that we didn't get to, because we're covering a lot in a shorter amount of time, but like this is the best pace for us.
Yeah.
Be sure to leave it in the comments below, or leave us a review on iTunes, or you can reach out to us on Twitter. There's so many ways to do it. We will be back to talk about episodes 4 through 6 this Wednesday at 3 p.m. We're gonna be just doing these as fast as we can, as schedule allows. So like, be sure to if the timing doesn't work for you, be sure to check it out later on YouTube or via iTunes. So let us know what you loved about these episodes. We want to hear from you. If you want to tweet at me, I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. And also be sure to check out the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show, which I host with Jesse, which is at 5 p.m. on Sundays. Emma Fyffe.
I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet wherever Emma Fyffes are sold at my name, Emma Fyffe. I'm doing a lot of stuff, so follow me on Twitter. But also tomorrow, March 12th, is my birthday, and we do have our next episode of the Voltron After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. That'll be at 8:00 p.m. Pacific time. We have Neil Kaplan, who is the voice of Zarkon, and AJ Locasio, who is the voice of Prince Lotar, joining us. So it'll be a real fun time. Be sure to check it out.
And yes, thank you so much for watching. I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez. You can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. Also, Monday nights, Marvel TV Weekly, and Sunday nights, Netflix Picks.
I'm Jesse Klein. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1. You can also see fun videos I do with my comedy group, Haymaker Comedy, on YouTube. Other than that, enjoy your internet.
Enjoy your internet. Exactly, Jesse. All right, guys, this has been the Jessica Jones After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Enjoy your internet.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.